Okay, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for January 24th, 2024 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Lane.
Here.
Trustee Meisner.
Here.
Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here.
Rick, did Linda come on via Zoom? I mean, not Linda. Heather yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've given an eye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
A second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight? Anybody that would like to address the board? Okay, citizens' comment is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the town board on any items except agenda items for which there is a public hearing. Public comment on public hearing items will occur during the scheduled public hearing. All comments should be directed to the town board. There is a 3-minute limit per speaker. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Sir?
Excuse me. Thank you very much. My name is Mark Campbell. I'm not a citizen, so I hope I may still speak. I know just a couple minutes. Your time is very valuable. I am the president of Southwestern Property Corp. In Denver. And in 2002, we bought 78 acres that since has become a subdivision called Meadow Farms. And we did a number of improvements there. We extended, I think it's County Road 44 or 46. It's been 21 years, so it's been a long time. I'm here respectfully because I would like the council, you may know everything that's going on and you may not, I wouldn't know. But we have a dispute with the town and over some improvements and moreover just what the interpretation of the development agreement is. And my attorney and your town attorney, which you may be, I don't know, yes, sir, has talked to our attorney, Mr. Max Stitch. And I'm just here to request that before we get into litigation, which I don't want, and it's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of time, I'm trying to save us all time and money. So my only request is that you direct staff to meet with us once or twice and see if this can't be negotiated. I think it will be better for everyone. I don't think the issues are insurmountable, but we've been directed not to speak to staff for some time. I'm going to say 9 months or more. That's what I've been told. And I've called myself, not to the current administrator, I don't believe, but previous, there was a Pepper McClanahan. Is she still here?
Pepper is our community development director.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Hi. Good to see you. I've met with her once, many, many years ago. Very, very pleasant and very helpful. I think if we meet with the staff, we can work it out. But there's many issues that I don't think you know about. HOA has no money. The Metropolitan District's in default and struggling, and we don't run that anymore. We don't. The community has taken over that. So that's my simple request, that you let staff really dive in and hear our point of view, we'll hear your point of view, and try to work out something before this gets any worse.
So could you leave your contact information with our town administrator, Cheryl
Yes.
Powell, please?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. Here's the card. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, concerns? Okay. Moving on, we'll do the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes for the meeting of January 10th, 2024? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of January 24th.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane,
Yes.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Beckman,
Yes.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We have the paid list of bills. Since I signed most of those checks, I have no questions. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, at the end of December, our police department, through a private donation, purchased some winter coats for Milliken residents in need. And out of this donation, they had purchased 109 coats of various sizes and handed them out on a Saturday, I believe. Isn't that correct, Chief? And so handed out about 60 of them at that time. The remainder will hang on to until next year. A lot of that, what was left, were for infants and toddlers. Hopefully we'll receive some more donation funds in order to do it again. So help to the residents that needed it. So I think that was very commendable to do. Also, through some of the work sessions, we've talked about our capital improvements projects and such. And right now, staff is looking at submitting an administrative grant for $25,000 to Department of Local Affairs. And these funds, if awarded, would go towards the engineering costs for Center Drive. Center Drive is located out in our industrial area. It intersects with the one we're currently going to be doing, which is Weld County Road 23 3/4. We've already budgeted for the engineering of that for our 2024 budget, but if we can receive $25,000 in funds, that'll certainly help offset some of those costs. So what we would do is an administrative grant is a letter written to the Department of Local Affairs with the mayor's signature on it. Tomorrow morning, Community Development Director Pepper McClanahan and I will be attending the county's oil and gas department's hearing at 9:30 regarding the haul route of the Kerr-McGee site located on Weld County Road 48.5. This is one that we've talked about a few times. And this, the location for this hearing, and it will be in person, is 1402 North 17th Avenue. In Greeley.
Is that everything we've got tonight?
No.
Oh,
Also on January 30th, Don Stonebrick and I will be attending the Greeley and Loveland Irrigation Company's annual meeting, which will be held in Greeley. Also, we had the pre-bid meeting for the CDBG grant funds received to do the ADA ramp upgrades and replacements. That occurred yesterday, and there were approximately 12 companies that attended. This grant funding needs to be spent by March 1st, so, and the county's well aware, because this is where the CDBG funding comes from. The advisory committee is aware that it may be a little longer than March 1st, but the funds didn't become available to us until a later date than they expected. So, also, the Ehrlich Lake Pump Station is on track to go out for bid the first part of February. So that'll be good if we can have that infrastructure in and usable for this coming irrigation season. It'll take a lot of weight off of the one that we currently have at Centennial Lake.
good job.
All right. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
I have none.
I have none.
No, good report. Oh, Trustee Wakeman.
Any update on internet service satellite from?
Oh, are you talking about from Comcast?
Yes.
I do hear that they have started in places in Johnstown. So my assumption is they'll go through Johnstown and then come to us. So I don't think it'll be more than a year or so out.
And we have that franchise agreement to do yet, right?
No, we've already done the franchise
We did it?
agreement.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't-
So that's already in place. So everything that we need to do has been done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, nice report. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. We have two items. We have consideration and approval of a professional services agreement for abatement and consideration and approval of a professional services agreement for mowing services. Both of these items have been budgeted when we did the 2024 budget in 2023 and are well within the budgeted amounts. So at this time, I will take a motion on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda with the consideration and approval of a professional services agreement for abatement services and consideration and approval of a professional services agreement for mowing services.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Beckman,
Yes.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Lane,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Action agenda. So the first item is a public hearing to consider approval of a site plan known as Liberty Lift. Presenting will be Pepper McClanahan, Community Development Director. The time is 6:41 and we're opening the public hearing. Since we hear so few quasi-judicial matters involving land, I'd like to remind board members of their training by the town attorney, Matt Gould. Only evidence in your packet and presented tonight in the hearing may be used for an impartial and unbiased final decision. Any other information cannot be used or discussed during the meeting. If any board member does not believe they can make the decision based on information presented at the meeting, it is recommended that they recuse themselves at this time. So, Ms. McClanahan?
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Before you tonight is a site plan for an approximately 5,200 square foot building for office and workshop maintenance area on 2.29 acre area of Lot 1, Block 1, Milliken Corporate Center, Replat A. This lot is located east of County Road 23 3/4 and north of Center Drive. The entire lot is comprised of 20 acres, and there was a previous development named Shalestone that was approved by you in 2023. The applicant is requesting approval to construct the building, which will consist of approximately 2,626 square feet, 3626 square feet of shop space and 1,574 square feet of office space. The proposed building is for oil and gas sucker rod, which is for rethreading and gasket replacement and sales of new sucker rod. It will not come in directly from the oil field, so it's clean. It's a clean sucker rod. The number of employees is estimated to be between 2 and 3, and the total number of daily visitors is estimated to be between 1 and 2. The previous plan that was submitted provided 17% landscaping. It has subsequently been amended, and a revised landscaping plan was, sheets were sent out to you earlier this week, which, similar to the Shalestone building, the applicant and owner is requesting a reduction to landscaping to avoid having to utilize potable water on such a large site. So they're requesting to go from the required 15 down to 10. The majority of the reduction involves native grasses that will no longer need to be irrigated. And the statistics are in their letter. If you're interested, I'm happy to review that. In the fall of 2023, the town's staff and consulting, let me back up. For background, the Shale Stone building was reviewed in the spring of 2023, and it was approved in April. It's currently under construction. At that time, the property owner commenced grading work prior to the site plan approval and was requested by the town to stop work until the site plan approval had been granted, because the town at the time did not have a process for at-risk grading. In the fall of 2023, the town staff and consulting engineers implemented an at-risk grading permit process commonly allowed by other municipalities. In November of 2023, at the request of the property owner, a permit for at-risk grading, excavation, and pouring of a foundation and slab was approved by the town so the developer could take advantage of the warm weather to pour the foundation to prepare the site. A foundation permit has also been issued for that property. For property information, east of County Road, let me go down here. The property zoned medium industrial. North across County Road 48 is Bernhardt Dairy and the town of Milliken, which is agricultural zoning. To the west is industrial uses and medium industrial zoning. To the south is industrial and retail uses, again zoned medium industrial. And to the east is a Public Utilities Commission transmission line corridor, and that is also zoned medium industrial. Notice was mailed to surrounding property owners within 300 feet of the proposed development on December 27th. Notice was placed in the Johnstown Breeze on December 28th, and the property was posted with the sign on December 27th. That complies with the notification requirements per the town's code. So this staff report is prepared in accordance with the Land Use Code Section 16.6.210, which are submittal requirements. Chapter 16, Article 3, General Standards applicable to all districts, which include parking and landscaping, and Section 16-6-370, which are the site plan requirements. After review, staff finds that the submittal complied with those requirements, and staff's recommending approval of the site plan with the following conditions. Prior to issuance of a building permit, the owner shall comply with the requirements of Front Range Fire and Rescue, including but not limited to installation of another fire hydrant if needed, completing a fire hydrant flow test from a nearby fire hydrant, installation of a Knox box or keypad or Knox padlock for fire access, and installing a pedestrian gate on the southeast corner of the building with the gate swinging in the direction of egress travel and away from the fenced area. The second condition of approval is that the applicant dedicate the number of shares of CBT that are required to support the site. There was quite a bit of communication with our town water engineer, and if the landscaping reduction is granted by the board, that will bring it down to 1 share. The property owner purchased 2 shares in anticipation of the development of both Shale Stone and another build-to-suit building, and so there is 1 share available. The town will need a written request from the property owner documenting the allocation if they desire to dedicate that remaining share to this particular development. A mailbox shall be installed on the property and outside of the right-of-way of Center Drive per the specifications of the United States Postal Service. Number 2, a sign and fence permit are required. Those are separate from the building permit, and so we wanted to make note of that. The owner shall submit final set of plans and Mylar copies of the site plan and landscaping sheets with revisions, if needed, in acceptable format for recordation with the Weld County Clerk and Recorder's Office. Mylar shall be recorded prior to the issuance of building permits. The site plan is approved for the use as submitted and described in the application. A change of use, because these are build-to-suit and leased buildings, a change of use may be required per Section 16.6-320 to evaluate changes in water demand or municipal code, building or fire code requirements specific to the change in use. This is looking forward. Number 7, in the event that Lot 1, Block 1 of the Milliken Corporate Replat Center Corporate Center Replat A is replatted into additional lots. All utilities, drainage, access, and other site improvements for the buildings are to function as standalone developments and must be provided, including recording of any easements by separate instrument prior to the plat approvals. A drainage easement may be, I'm noting a drainage easement may be needed for the outlot and the outlet of the detention pond located on the northeast corner of this particular development. It's pretty close to that other development. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on January 17th. The applicant was present to speak in favor of the application. There were no others present at the meeting to speak. The Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation to approve the site plan to the Board of Trustees. And there's a couple of suggested motions in the staff report, and I am happy to try to answer any questions about the packet.
So did we receive any feedback from the notifications within 300 feet or the Johnstown Breeze publication?
I did not.
Okay.
Just from the reviewing agencies, and we included those conditions in the conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have any comments from the public? Questions from the board members, starting with Trustee Beckman?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dean?
Just to be clear, you're recommending approval for the landscape plan that they provided?
Yes, it's reducing the total landscaping to 10% from the required 15, so it's less of a reduction that was granted for shale stone. In addition, there's more shrubs than provided than are required, and probably about 50% less trees. So,
But you're comfortable with that?
I am, yes. It dresses up the front of the building and alleviates some trees along the irrigation ditch, which I'm thinking probably are good for both parties.
Okay. Trustee Meisner?
I have no questions.
Trustee Lane?
I believe I may have missed the one meeting where it was approved to let the construction company and the owners go ahead and do the dirt work and get the foundation work all done. And I guess I'm just really confused as to why the whole thing couldn't have been approved at that time, because it seems like you kind of put the cart before the horse, or the horse before, however you say it, to actually start the project, do all the dirt work, dig a foundation, pour a foundation, and then stop. And then get approval for construction of a building that obviously, if we don't approve it, it just seems foolish to do it now versus then and get the whole thing approved.
The at-risk grading and other permits are an in-house. They're not required to be brought by the board. It's similar to a right-of-way permit. We don't bring those to the board either. We approve those at the staff level. They're reviewed by our town engineer, our streets director, and other staff. So that wasn't brought before the board. And it is at risk. There's a number of documents that are provided in terms of what requirements have to be met by the property owner doing these at-risk activities. And they're fully aware that if changes are made or required, that the changes are at their risk.
So pouring a foundation and doing all that work, if we don't approve it, then they have to just rip it all out. Is that what that means then?
Denial of the application would have to be based on them not meeting the criteria of the code. And if that were the case, then yes, they would have to remove the improvements.
All right.
The applicant is here to speak. If
I missed one meeting, and I assume that's when when you approve this. If you guys don't remember doing it, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
First of all, thank you very much for your time this evening. My name's Ben Dowd. I'm from Evergreen, Colorado, and these properties are mine, and I'm building buildings out there. And as Pepper stated, we assumed the responsibility at risk to put in the foundation. And that was just simply a monetary judgment that, to be quite frankly with you, it'd be cheaper for me to tear that foundation out because you say no now than it would have been to pour it in 30 below weather. And that's what we were trying to accomplish and trying to beat. So it wasn't trying to get around anything, or as you said, put the cart before the horse. We understood completely that we're at risk. And I'm in 27 states that we build in, and a lot of them have at risk. But the builder has to understand that he's at risk.
Okay, so who approved it? Was it our board or was it,
No, town staff can approve those.
okay,
It doesn't come before the board.
okay.
So it's reviewed by our engineer, it's reviewed by our streets director, John Rabus,
Okay.
and so it's reviewed internally. It does not come before the board.
And you couldn't have told me this when I asked you because it's a judicial matter? You couldn't just say, you couldn't just tell me
I
that?
told you it was okay.
Well, yeah, but you see a board that has a proposal, and you see a foundation being poured, and you see all this work, and it has to come before the board to be approved, but it's already being built. I'm sorry, but a little bit of an explanation by you saying, hey, that we approved it, and just explain to me what at-risk means and how you can approve it, and it can still come before the board like this after it's already started. I just needed a little bit of an explanation. That's all.
So are you saying that you didn't get an explanation from the town administrator?
No, because she said it was okay, but I
Yes.
didn't get any explanation as to why.
Well, you wouldn't get an explanation because this is a quasi-judicial hearing, and she can't speak to it before, because that's part of your training.
Yeah, so I've been watching it being built for weeks. And it's like, what's up with this? I just didn't understand. I've never gone through anything.
And
Like
I
this.
understood that.
Yeah.
Trustee Lane, and I was trying to explain as best as I could without jeopardizing the quasi-judicial system. So, it's a due process, which
All right.
protects you and it protects the landowner as well.
I mean,
Let me step in just briefly to try to explain why this is critical. First of all, any discussion of a matter that's quasi-judicial outside of the hearing itself puts the impartiality at risk, and we do have a specific provision in our policies and procedures, and it says an ex parte contact may include discussing an upcoming hearing or decision with the staff. So staff is extremely aware of that, and that is why this is something that's very guarded.
Okay, all right. I mean, nothing against the builder or the owner. I was like, what's happening here? Why is this allowed to happen? And my lack of experience, I mean, I was just really confused. And I mean, I get it now, I understand, but my lack of experience just really, it really bothered me that this was going on, and I couldn't find out really anything until tonight.
I understand, and I understand that it's breaking new ground, so to speak, in terms of being fairly new policy for the staff to do. And I got to tell you, the folks you have been great to work with. They have just been accommodating. They have been, very helpful, very giving of information so we can get things done and hopefully keep things moving. And I sincerely apologize if we stepped on anybody's toes, because that darn sure wasn't the intent. But
You're
thank
fine.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So, Trustee Wakeman, any questions?
No, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, any questions?
No, I have none.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no further public comment, the time is 6:59. I'll close the public hearing. And if there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve the site plan for a 5,200 square foot building on a 1.29 acre area of Lot 1, Block 1, Milliken Corporate Center, Replat A, subject to the conditions as outlined by staff.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Miesner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Welcome to Milliken.
Again.
For a second time. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Okay, next item on the agenda is consideration and adoption of ordinance number 812, an ordinance concerning flagpoles and streetlight poles. Presenting is Matt Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. The item that you have before you is something that has been discussed in work sessions. This relates to some events that have happened in other states where municipalities have inadvertently created what's called a public forum in the use of their flagpoles by allowing the display of a variety of flags. We've met and discussed this, and then it's been simplified so that use of town flagpoles is strictly for the purpose of facilitating expressions of the town's official sentiments, and and this is not just flagpoles, but also streetlight poles. Only items that have been approved by the board by resolution can be displayed for a period to be determined by the board. And the only exception to that is with respect to seasonal banners and like service commemorative banners that are hung from the light poles. If they've been used before, then the town administrator can approve those. So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much for presenting. Questions from Trustee Wakeman?
My only questions had to do with, this does not restrict any board decision. I noticed that it specifically states from the Historical Society.
That's correct.
Is there, I can't think of any, but are there any other service organizations that we would want to allow similar access? I didn't think of any, but I just want to ask the question.
I think the effort here was to document what's been done in the past. So if there are others, we certainly could amend to include those. But you're correct, that would require an amendment to the ordinance and not just a resolution. We're trying to keep this very narrow.
Yes. I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
So just to follow up on that, Trustee Wakeman, if another service organization came in, we could always direct them to work with the Milliken Historical Society as they have standards.
I thought of that too.
And that would probably be a good way to facilitate something.
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Lane?
I have no questions.
Trustee Miesner?
No questions.
Trustee Dean?
No questions.
Trustee Beckman?
No questions, thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I have none.
Thank you. Okay, I take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve ordinance number 812, an ordinance of the town of Milliken, Colorado regarding use of town flag poles and town streetlight poles.
I second it.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Miesner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is consideration of a proposed settlement agreement regarding case number 2022 CB 030770 filed in Weld County District Court. Presenting is Matt Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. What you have before you is a proposal for settlement of the lawsuit between the town of Milliken and the parties that built the selenium treatment system at the reverse osmosis plant. I do have one clarification. Let me say first of all that there is an abbreviated summary of the background of the lawsuit, how we got here, included in the memorandum. I won't read through that. I think those are all pretty familiar facts. I do want to clarify on the second page of the memo, I guess it's the second paragraph. It says, this would end the litigation and related costs and release all claims between the town and the defendants in the lawsuit. I want to be clear that the release is global to allow the parties to go their separate ways of any and all claims, whether or not they were brought in the lawsuit. There is a table there indicating money expended. The settlement would involve payment to the town of $60,000. And I am happy to answer any questions. And this, we have had a number of discussions providing instructions to negotiators over time in executive session. This is being considered for approval. I have spoken with the attorney, well, I've exchanged email with the attorneys for the other parties, and this has their approval, and they have committed to getting it signed within 7 days of board approval if we approve it tonight. So this is the proposal. And I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, questions from the board, starting with Trustee Dean.
I noticed the drop in the value, and I think you talked about it in an email, but can you give us any more detail about that?
All I can say, I guess, well, all that I know is that the mediator, this is the number that the mediator ultimately was able to get agreement on. He just couldn't get to a higher number, and it had something to do with the allocation of that payment. One party was being asked to pay more than the other, and when they realized that, they didn't like that very much.
Okay. Thank you. That helps me a little bit.
Okay. Trustee Meisner?
I have no questions. I think it sounds like a reasonable situation, a reasonable end to the whole situation.
Just one more point that I forgot to add. I was concerned about a bill from the mediator. He gave us a final statement and actually has delivered a check refunding a small portion of our deposit. So that is final settlement with the mediator too. There's no additional cost there. That was an uncertain point before.
Good, okay, thank you. Trustee Lane?
I have no questions. Thank you for all your work, and I'm glad this has gotten resolved.
Of course.
Yeah.
Trustee Wakeman?
I agree with Trustee Dean on the questions regarding the outcome on this. I am disappointed in how this has worked out. I think that particular problem was between them and not our problem, and we are paying for it. And I realize it's to our advantage to get this settled and to be done with it, but I'm very disappointed in the outcome for the town.
Okay. Trustee Beckman? Any questions, comments?
I don't have any questions. Just thank you, Matt, for everything that you and your team did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I have no questions.
Okay. Trustee Dean?
Yeah, I just also wanted to reiterate the compliments not only to our attorney Gold, but to the staff for their diligent work on this. It took a lot of effort, I know, and it's appreciated.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have no comments. I think the resolution is fair and equitable, and it leaves us with some other options. So, yeah, I thank you for your work, and if nobody has any further comments, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve the proposed settlement agreement resolving all matters at issue in Weld County District Court, case number 2022-CV030770, and to authorize the mayor to sign the settlement agreement on behalf of the town.
I second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Sorry, my computer just said something weird. Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Lane,
Yes.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Beckman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank
The
you.
remaining reports are written. Do we have any board member reports tonight? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we are out. Okay.
Delayed aye.
Thank you very much.